we are solving linear equations, we do need to be a little bit careful about a few things that can cause misconceptions here. So the first thing is to remember, when we are trying to solve a linear equation, we are trying to undo what has happened to x. We're trying to get rid, using our inverse operations, of everything that's happened here. Okay, so again, a lot of things wrong is we see a plus 4 here, so we decide to add 4 to both sides. Actually, if we add 4 to both sides, that's not going to help anything. All we're going to end up with here is 2x plus 8 is going to be equal to 22. And whilst that's not untrue, it's not particularly helpful in solving the equation. Okay, so what we need to do actually is make sure that we are taking away 4. Remember, taking away 4 is the inverse of adding 4. So if we take away 4 from both sides, what that's going to do, they're going to cancel out. If we add 4 to something, then take it straight off, that gets rid of it. So then we'd be left with 2x is equal to 14. And then from there we can do the opposite of multiplying by 2, because remember 2x means 2 times x. The inverse of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So we can then divide by 2 here. Okay, so we get that x is equal to 7. So remember, it's all about doing the inverses. We also need to make sure the order in which we do our inverses, okay? You have to do it in the exact opposite to what happened. So although this question looks very similar, you see the brackets here make the order different. So for this one, if you were to substitute in a value, for example, you would multiply it by 2 first, then you would add 4. So that's why we take away the 4 first, then we divide by 2. But on this question here, you would add the 4 first, then you would times it by 2. So actually, we need to undo it in that opposite order. So we need to divide by 2 first. So if we divide both sides by 2 here, we're going to be left with x plus 4, because remember the inverse of times and by 2 is divided by 2, so that cancels that out. And then 18 divided by 2 is 9. So then we get that x plus 4 is equal to 9. Then again, we use our inverse operation, which in this case would be a take away 4. Okay, to get us that x would be equal to 5. So you see two quite similar questions with very similar numbers, but this bracket means that we get two separate answers. One other thing that you just need to be really careful of, and it tends to be at that very last stage, and it tends to be ones that just sort of try and trip you up a little bit. So if the question was 10x is equal to 5, for example. Okay, a lot of people, I think, would just jump straight in, see the 10, see the 5, think, great, answer's going to be 2. We just need to just be a little bit careful here, because the answer isn't going to be 2. Because if we put 2 in here, 2 times 10 isn't 5, it's 20. Okay, so you just need to be a little bit careful about those types of things. So just follow the method through. The inverse of times by 10 is dividing by 10, so you need to make sure that you are doing that. So we divide by 10. Okay, so that gets us that x is equal to 5 over 10. 5 over 10 we can simplify down as a fraction to 1/2. Okay, so not 2. So just be careful if you see when you see two numbers like this, don't just assume that you know what's going on. Okay, always double check that your answer works at the end as well. Okay, so for this question here, 10 times 1/2, which is the same thing as dividing it by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. So that's all sorted there.